here's what he said. He said that, and this is in regards to the turn lane. So as you know, what they'll do is they'll add there'll be a dedicated right turn and a dedicated left turn lane from Cuthbertson to Newtown. So it'll help a lot, I think, with the traffic. So he said, this is from Bjorn, this is July 11th. He said, the designs have been approved by the NCDOT. The developer's ready to start work. They are waiting on a review by our Public Works Department, and they should have their review completed by next week. Now, I heard in April that they were waiting on a review by the Public Works Department. So, and he said, we're all eager to get the improvements made, though. And I know they are. I just want to see and remind you all that school starts in 6 weeks, which should be enough time if they started now. I just drove by there today, and you know, there's a lot of stakes and flags and stripes, but you know, there's a lot of trees that have to be removed, a lot of utilities have to be removed, etc. So, is there anything you all can do to encourage the county to get this done before school starts? That would be great. Because my fear is, if it gets delayed, they'll just say, like they did last summer, they'll just say, oops, school started, so we can't do anything for another year. So anything you all can do to let them know how important this is to Wesley Chapel, that'd be great.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else signed up to speak in public comment? All right. So I will close public comments and move on to additions, deletions, and adoption of agenda. Anybody has anything they'd like to add or change or delete?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm not sure where we want to put it, but I would like to get on the record and update to the dam at the park.
We can add it right into the Parks and Recreation Department as D.
That's part of my financial report,
Oh.
if that doesn't matter. I was just going to give a brief update on
Your
that.
financial report gives us an update on timelines.
We don't have any timelines, we don't have any contracts yet.
We've submitted the request for bids.
Yes, we put it in two different newspapers, 3 different ads, and I've reached out to Amy Black.
Okay.
So Kathy, are you okay with Kathy covering that?
Sure.
Okay, any other changes, deletions, additions? All right, then I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion approved.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, then that brings us to the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right. And that brings us to presentations and the proclamation of Williams syndrome on the video. So I would like to invite Ms. Susan Adeline. So if you guys remember last year we had Carly Oberg, right? And her son come, and we made a proclamation for Williams Syndrome Week. So we're going to make that proclamation again for Williams Syndrome Week. It's a rare genetic condition that is present at birth. It affects as many as 30,000 individuals in the United States and is characterized by medical and cognitive delays, including cardiovascular disease, developmental delays, and learning disabilities. So the Williams Syndrome Association was founded in 1982, and it's an organization and resource for people and families living with the syndrome. And so we want to proclaim this Williams Syndrome Awareness Month so we can raise awareness about the syndrome. And Ms. Adeline is going to come up and introduce a little video for us to watch that they made.
Thank you so much. I'm the grandmother of Landon Overly, and Carly is my daughter. And since this proclamation last year, the Overlys have founded a nonprofit organization called Let's Include Landon.org. It's taking the awareness of Williams syndrome past Williams syndrome and beginning a foundation to include all children with all disabilities to be joined with other kids without disabilities. So a year's been a long time in days, but a short time to get this going. And Weddington, Wesley Chapel, Waxhaw, Marvin, and the whole community, the communities around Wesley Chapel have just been amazing in embracing this whole disability inclusion awareness. So we're kind of spreading the word. And if I could just read the mission so that you understand where we're going, because Williams syndrome is rare. I was a special ed teacher for 25 years, and it was my 25th year of teaching, right before Landon was born, that I taught the first student that I ever had in my career who had Williams syndrome. And that was over hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of students. Carly's recognized through Landon's 9 years that the one thing that has united him with everybody is being included in general education, in sports. He has done special camps and things like that for kids with disabilities, and he's done Special Olympics. But capitalizing on the Special Olympics idea, trying to combine kids with disabilities and without disabilities and making it a more natural setting for them. So the mission of Let's Include is to create opportunities to bring children and teens with and without disabilities together. If we start connecting kids at a young age, then these relationships will be natural and valued, and the future for our society will look different. We envision our activities to not just have kids with and without disabilities in the same place, but rather to create real bonds and create deeper relationships. The goal is that Let's Include Landon will be mutually beneficial. Children with disabilities benefit by being just as much a part of their community as their non-disabled peers, be a part of a team, have a best friend, create friendships, and have a sense of belonging. All children should experience school, sports, clubs, camps, friends, travel, vacations, birthday parties, and outings. But it's not just about going through the motions. It's about being seen as a true friend and valued by their peers. And non-disabled peers will benefit as well. They will learn compassion, patience, respect, kindness, citizenship, and understanding the value of differences and how successfully working and playing together with kids who are different. So, thank you. The video is more about the Let's Include disability inclusion.
Get it to go.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you. The community's been amazingly supportive.
Oh, please forgive me as I figure out. It ran earlier today.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you
nice.
for your patience. This actually was made for the first kickoff 5K for Let's Include, and so it was to kind of show all the children there, that being in sports and community activities is the most important thing, to feel like you belong. And that's why at the beginning it was narrated by children who were Landon's peers and classmates and teammates. So thanks for your patience.
Would you be okay if we shared a little bit about Let's Include Landon on our
I think that would be wonderful. They have had, using the community areas and the parks for events and walks, and they had a basketball clinic on Saturday. So that would be fantastic if you could put that in the minute. Thank you. And Carly, I said, we'll have to tweak that down to about 2 minutes, Carly. But it was very effective for the kids when they saw that, because they could see how important it was to be included. So thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
I have a copy for you too. And you share with Carla.
Thank you so much, yes.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to the finance officer report.
Okay, so we had, as promised, a lot of our revenue came in, and we closed out the year in a good position. We're 25,000 unspent, so we have sort of a net income, if you will, of 25,000. We actually spent 732 income was 732 to a budget of 767,000. So we were short 35,000, but that also included an unexpected pop in interest of, probably $50,000 that was budgeted for 6,000. So I still have a few journal entries to come in. We haven't done our pension journal entries. And there may be a couple of bills that come in. But overall, on the 25,000 that we have positive, if we had spent 40, these are what ifs, if we had spent 40 on the study and we hadn't received the 50,000 in interest and we had, we still may get attorney fees. So I had $8,000 savings there. That was a negative 72,000. And if you bring in the appropriated income in the actual column, then we would have been about $5,000 short for the year. So it looked like we had a pretty good year. Any questions?
Any questions for Kathy?
I still have more, any questions on the numbers? The budget's been uploaded to my system, and Mike has commented that he would like to see the final budget on the website and have a copy of it. So just as a reminder, council approves the high-level line items by category or by department, not by line items. So there is flexibility. So what we like to do is just make sure we come in on that high level compared to our ordinance. I want to apologize for our audio video. I was moving quickly, but not quickly enough. I had all the buttons twisted to the right, so that's just the best we've got right now. The audio video, I have contacted 6 companies. 4 have responded. 1 is really good and 1 is really great. So I'm still waiting on the numbers to come in to see what that's going to look like. I haven't received anything yet. I met with those people last week. I've talked with 3 different painters. I've gotten 2 quotes, and I'm waiting on the 3rd. So one quote is around 18 or 19,000 for inside and out, and one quote's about 30,000 inside and out. So a lot of detail work. If you look up, if you notice, I don't know if you can see that line going through the ceiling right there. That's just age where the tape was taped before. So they'll fix all of that going when they come in and they do their painting. As far as the dam at the park, I've done, the ads have just ran. They ran 2 last month. One just ran on the 10th. So I ran it in the Charlotte Observer and the Inquirer Journal. And I've reached out to Amy to see if there's anybody else that she thinks we could just, hey, give them a heads up that we're looking for these. I have set a deadline of August 14th. That's not a hard line. If we don't get a contractor, then we push it back and we try again. We fish some more till we get a couple of good people to respond to us. So once we get the word out there, I think that will be okay.
But no applications have been received.
I haven't received anything yet, no. So I will try to have you some quotes at the next meeting so that we can look. And I may have our audio media, if you guys would like. I've mentioned it to him. The one that I really like. He was really good. I had 2 that didn't know, what these things were down here. I had 2 that one of the 2 told me the speakers weren't right, and the guy that did come, I won't give the names now, but he did come and he was very on top of things. And so I told him that if he could come present to you, because there's a couple different options. One is like having a screen on your desk, so it just kind of leans up and barely peeks, not in your face, but kind of this way, like if you turned 11 by 14 paper and leaned it on the dais. Another option is to, and I know you'll all go no, but over there, right in the corner, just above that box, there's a perfect space for maybe a 5-foot wide TV that you guys wouldn't have to look at these, so you could have your iPads in front of you and your notes, and you could just look up and see there what we're seeing here. So I don't know if you've turned around, you saw the video, but we have up here now our agenda for everyone to see. So you'll be able to see that as well if we put a screen here. So I've asked him when he comes, he said that we don't need a new screen or maybe a new projector, but we will need something to cast or record the meeting so that we can then upload them to YouTube. I think if we're more visible, we might get more interest. So there are a lot of people that live in the village of Wesley Chapel that maybe don't even get out, that could sit home and watch our meeting if they have interest. So when he comes, he'll point out, each of you will have a microphone. We talked about lapel microphones, but we're afraid you'll walk away with them. The only other thing to do is plug it in, and then it's going to get in the way of your hand. And if you stand up, it's going to jerk you back. And so, we think that the skinny little microphone on a small base is going to be the best. But whether you want monitors here, you know, like TV screens there, whether you want a TV screen here, we're planning on 2 shared mics here, and a monitor control panel for me so that I can, you know, do what I need to do and see what people on YouTube are seeing.
And just so you know, if you hear the beeping, we have to keep the emergency backup battery in there because nothing works down at there.
We lost, Amy and I lost about a half a day of power. We were calling Spectrum and everyone else, and I don't know who took the battery out, but that battery is a flow-through for our main power system, so when it flows through, if it's no need for the backup, then it doesn't do anything. But when the backup dies, the power still flows through it, but when you unplug it, it shuts down our security, our systems, our Wi-Fi, we just thought we were having a blackout, and coincidentally, Weddington was out, so we were still trying to reach Spectrum, and they were like, well, there's not any outages in your area, so the guy that I really like said, your stuff is all off, and I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, the backup battery, it's not plugged in. So he plugged it in for us, and we were back and up running. So we have, it's been ordered, it'll be plugged in as soon as it gets here.
Did that answer your questions about the dam, David? We're still waiting for hopefully a September announcement or funding.
Yes, and we reached out to the engineering firm, asked for recommendations from them.
I did. I reached out to Amy Black to see if she had anybody that we could push it out further to. But we also pushed it out on our new website that I think went to 1,000 people. We've got it up and running. And as we continue to modify that, I hope you all, if you're not signed up for Notify Me, I would recommend that you do, because then you see what Amy and I are pushing out. And it comes out real pretty. It comes out with the Village of Wesley Chapel and then a notice. So we pushed out that we were closed on July 4th, and I got a real pretty little picture on my phone that just reminded everyone the Village Hall would be closed. And it's really good if you can do that. That way you see what we're sending and when we're sending.
Do you have anybody you could share it with me?
Sure, but I don't think that the people that are in the business would probably be better able to do that. So did we not get any responses from the engineering firm as to who to solicit it to?
No, it ran, I think I put it out about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
No, I'm talking directly
From
to
Amy?
the engineering firm, yes.
I haven't sent them directly to engineering firms. I've just
No,
pushed
did
it out.
Amy reply?
Amy
back
has not
with any
replied.
recommendation?
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think we need to push that. They're in the business. I think they would know much better about who would be well suited to pour this work than we do.
You can also reach out to the other community parks that have had similar work.
Who?
I can just add that the irrigation contractor knows a local Wesley Chapel grading company that has done many very large ponds and dam projects. So we have sent the solicitation for bids to that company. We're on the search for contractors to bid.
And we'll follow up with Amy Black and see if she has shared it with anyone. Okay.
And then one other question on the AV system. What, do we have a number budgeted in for that?
We do. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think we only put like 3,000 or 4,000. I think I wanted to put about 12. I think it's going to be more like 10 or 12, but we've only budgeted. I had it in front of me. I don't know where it went, but I can look that up for you.
Would that be under outsourced professional services or town hall operation?
It wouldn't be outsourced professional services. It would be under, probably under media. Let me look and see if I can find it on my phone real quick. If you guys want to continue, I'll look it up and see if I can find that for you.
I guess my second question on that is, do we have a scope of work that we're sending out to these contractors?
We do. Amy Black put together a package and it's on our website.
Now he's talking about AV now.
On the AV, back to that again. We don't have a scope of work. I mean, it's pretty simplistic what we need. It's complicated, but it's the same stuff that every conference room needs. And that's why I thought if he came in and talked to you and you guys had general questions, we could shape it for you.
So hopefully at the next meeting, we can have some more information for you about what each quote presented is suggesting. All right, anything else, Kathy?
No, that's all I have.
Any questions for Kathy? Okay. All right, that leads us to the Parks and Recreation report. Come on up, Mr. Lusky.
So no news is good news from no vandalism and no car break-ins for a long time.
Are both the camera systems working? Lock cameras?
Yeah, flock monitor those all the time, so
Well, when they stop working, do they notify us, or do we have to notify them, or?
I believe they notify us, that was the plan. So they monitor, make sure the battery's charging. I mean, for the last car break-in, a long time ago, the flock cameras didn't provide much evidence for Union County Sheriff's Department to catch the perpetrator, but I believe they're working as a deterrent, because compared to previous years before we had them, very little. We've had one in over a year. I think we're getting our money's worth in security protection from the cameras. On new stuff, the community garden pilot program, you guys said okay. We had 5 people express interest. Pam's been following up. One has already planted the raised bed at the park. She came, had a look, and a day later she filled it with organic composted cow manure, and she's planted the box, and Pam is currently following up with one of the other respondents that expressed interest. So, as you know, we only have 2 raised beds. We've had 5 people express interest. We have on there already in place donations offered to build 2 more. Whenever you guys are ready, we've got people willing to donate the money to add 2 additional ones. Should the first 2 get filled up and it looks good, we can make the next step.
Question.
Yes.
The 5 people that are interested are residents of Weston Chapel?
Don't know.
It'd be nice to know.
Okay. Well, I believe the one is already planted it, but I will check. Upcoming soon, the playground surface. You guys budgeted $3,000, I believe, for repair of the playground surface. We've got an area where it's been, I guess, washed out from underneath. And it's flopping like this. It's going to end up breaking away. The original contractor who installed the playground has quoted us $2,000 to do the repair versus a $3,000 budget. If you guys are okay with moving ahead with the guy who installed it initially, we need to cut a section out. They have a lead time of about 4 weeks. He said unless we have some flexibility. So I said no, we're flexible if you've got the days available. So if you guys are okay with me progressing with that, I'll give them a work order and say, okay, come out and fix it, earliest convenience. They'll need to cut a section out to where the colour changes. So it's about 5 feet by 3 feet, 5 feet by 4 feet. Section of the rubber they have to saw out and then pour all new things. They need a day to do the work, and they suggest leaving an additional day for the resin to set. And at the same time, I'm going to power wash all the playground equipment.
Well, we have to close the playground for that period of time.
We'll have to close the playground for 2 days. I will give everybody a heads up. As soon as I can schedule a date with the contractor, I'll give everybody on Facebook and via the village website a heads up. Sorry, the playground's closed for 2 days.
Repairs.
We can lock the gate to keep them out. Well, that'll stop them climbing over the fence. But
We have a like this sign that's,
Yeah.
this big,
we'll put the sign out that says this section of the park is closed. I'll let everybody know weeks in advance that it's going to close. So
when they were originally pouring that rubber floor, they were making a little 3 foot by 3 foot pad, which I thought was great for the bottom of the slides, but then we ended up not getting it because, oh, that's for another job at a different location. location. Can they go ahead and make us those little pads that we could, in case we ever get a hold of it, in case we ever have a problem with the bottom of the slides? If we've got the money budgeted, just make those little squares in addition, and then put them at the bottom of the slide so we don't have an additional problem.
Can I ask, have you got a specific size in mind?
Just whatever, they know what they typically put at the bottom of the slide, at the slides. I think they're like 3 foot by 3 foot, or maybe, 25 by 25, whatever the case may be. But,
Like a mat you can move around?
it's the same stuff that the base is made out of. They just make an additional, like, mat out of it, and then they put it at the bottom of the slide.
I will ask.
It's a question about that, is it attached?
No.
Well, then, who's going to keep it there? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they'll hit it and they'll move.
Just inquire.
Yeah.
I'll ask
ask
them.
what-
They put a slope.
So I'm okay to go ahead and sketch one.
But is he, I mean, is the double expense is going to be how much?
2,000.
Do we not need 2 other bids to maintain our fiscal
No,
procedures?
not for service repairs. no.
All good?
Okay.
So we're approving just the 2,000. And anything discussion had to be had.
On events, we don't have any schedules for the fall. From past experience last year, the attendance was really bad when it's 90 plus degrees out. So the committee decided we're not going to do summer events during the day. It's just too damn hot. Even with the fans running, with the mist in, we just didn't get the turnout. So there'll be more to report on events closer to. That's fine for the pipeline.
And just so everybody knows, with the increase in those hours effective July 1st, he has worked with Pat and is going to be leading the Parks and Rec Committee meetings to kind of help take some load off of Pat's shoulders and keep everything moving right along. So he will be the staff liaison. So council, when we go, we will only be speaking in public comment. Kind of just similar to planning board, because John's going to be running the show again, which is great. I'm excited.
We have some new interest in the Parks and Rec Committee as well. We have some new Parks and Rec.
Yeah, we've got several people interested in joining the Parks Committee, so we'll have a full contingent again. And then I'll also be relieving Pat from making the report to council after the next meeting. So,
That'll be a huge help for her.
she's excited that she's got us to do.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, that's it for this month.
Okay,
I've
Joe.
got 2 questions.
Sure.
The bulletin board at the pond, can we get that updated? The bulletin board at the pond,
Yeah, where'd you get that?
can we get that updated?
Updated, okay. I couldn't hear you.
We've got posters up there for events in 2021.
Okay. Yeah, I took them down at the playground and the main notice board. I missed the one down by the field.
Okay. And then the other thing, the fountain at the pond, it's completely operational now, right? It's working 100%,
The fountain.
the fountain.
Yeah, it's on a timer. It doesn't run all the time. It
Okay.
goes on, I believe, like
6.
6 in the morning, something like that. It runs during the day and then it shuts down after
Okay.
that.
I've been out there several times over the past month. And the pond from the pier, I guess closer to us, is very, very, very murky.
Yeah.
From the pier to the
Where
fountain
is,
you've got plenty of aeration. I guess my question is that something we need to be looking at after the repairs are done to the pond to
so
make sure that we get aeration on that end?
it would require another fountain and running wires there. Normally we see that green algae bloom after the farmers plant their fields and they fertilize. There's 174 acres drains into that pond, and most of the 174 acres is agricultural land. So I believe what's happening is they fertilize the field. For the first few times we get rain, all that fertilizer washes into the pond. We get an algal bloom, and then after a few rains, it washes out and it goes away.
One of the things we do to combat that is we add the barley straw.
Barley straw, when it decomposes, a natural algicide. So we place 2 bales of barley straw at the head of the pond, and that, when that rots down, it provides natural organic algicide to help it under control. It really controls that slimy algae. It doesn't do so good on the surface stuff that we get a flash bloom of when we get fertilizer influx.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a fountain further down, but they're
It's
not
also
cheap.
shallower on that end.
I understand.
It involves running a cable, a 3-phase cable. It won't be cheap.
Okay. Then how long typically does this situation last?
Well, this week, I would say we're going to get rain for 3 or 4 days. All algae will wash out. And then it'll probably come back next time we fertilize the field again. So,
The high temperatures don't help.
sorry?
The high temperatures don't help either.
No. But, I mean, the reason we put the fan is, the fountain in the first place is to get the water moving, aerate it, and control it. But trying to keep the budget down, we only put one in.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for John? All right, we'll move on to the Communications Committee report.
Winning artwork for the 2024 elementary school contest is currently with the framer, and those should be ready soon, and they'll be placed in the front lobby with the other 2. The Community Conversations, which replaces Coffee with the Mayor, with your approval, will invite Deputy Brandon Wicker to speak on a council meeting Monday in the future, and we'll ask him to speak on crime stats, dangerous traffic intersections, and tips on home and personal safety. So if you guys are okay with that, then we'll go ahead and invite him and get that going. One of our members, Pauline Morris, has resigned as she's moved back up north. And this leaves us with 3 members, 2 short of the charter's 5-member target. I did want to tell you that some of the members have been frustrated with the current role of the committee. They want to take on a larger role in the village, and they've talked about planning events rather than just advertising them, being more proactive in various aspects of the town's business, such as researching costs and best practices of video town meetings and the best methods to post online. So when the committee was formed, its main role was to communicate information to the public, such as through email and Facebook, but apparently the committee members want to do more now. So, just for information.
Did they attend Parks and Rec meetings and maybe combine with?
We've been invited to do that, but I don't, to my knowledge,
And I've actually been thinking about it. I was thinking just stuff I've heard about, like lack of available volunteers or lack of volunteers, period. Like the possibility of at this point, like the village has evolved, we're 25 years old. What if we did combine the Communications Committee and the Parks and Rec Committee into like maybe an events committee? We've got our park director now who's got all the maintenance of the park stuff down pat. And there was one year we gave the Parks and Rec like every event they asked for, and it was a lot of work, a lot of hard work. So we found that, I think I'm speaking, that we found when we partner with Southbrook and stuff, those are like the easiest events to do. Movie nights have been very successful, and they found a company to help outsource the movie nights. But we also have National Night Out. We have these speakers that are coming, which I think is a great idea. So in my mind, I'm thinking, do we need to change the volunteer efforts to more of like an event? And it's not just Parks and Rec events, but it's all events across town hall. Across the village, because we're more than just Aqua Park. And that would help the Communications Committee get more active in planning and kind of keep everybody up on the same page and communicating back and forth. And with there only a couple people on the Communications Committee now might be a good time to kind of bring everybody together and work really hard on events throughout the village, using the most of the volunteer power that we have. But that was just what I was starting to think, like would it be better if we combined forces and So I just wanted to see what council
That
thought.
would give the members a lot more involvement in an events committee. I think that's a really good idea, an events committee, because we do have some events and they're not just at the park, they're all over.
And it wouldn't be a segregated committee, right? It would be an events committee where all members are participating in all aspects, not just formal communications doing one piece and formal, but combined.
And once they get into a committee and wanted to share the workload and all that, or
Yeah, so the
I don't wanna
entire
go-
committee would be responsible for the planning, the communicating, the execution of any events across the village.
from National Night Out to Santa Claus at the Park. Like a combined events throughout the village of Wesley Chapel. Just a thought, just wanted to put it out there for discussion.
I think given the feedback of the communications committee want to be more involved in the planning of events, and the fact, as you mentioned, we now have a maintenance director for the park that's going to cover all of the maintenance items and improvements and everything else. I do think that significantly offloads the Parks and Rec Committee as we know it, to where this would really focus on utilizing the assets of the village through events. I'm game. I don't think I have anything to lose.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Sounds good.
David?
I like it. I mean, especially what like Lori said, we've got a park director that's going to handle the things that I think in the past have historically fallen onto the Parks and Rec Committee to make those decisions. We've got a single source who's there every day. So I think it's a great idea.
In my head, it seems like a good evolution towards
Mhm.
progress and making events better across the board, not just park events, which is
A
what
committee
we heard from
actually
residents
for
like
that purpose of planning it.
So if council is okay, I will start to work up maybe like talk to both committees and try to work up something to present in August. If that's okay with y'all?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right. So now we're going on to the planning board report. And I don't see Mr. Kennery, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hines.
Well, since our last meeting, we have had issued a few permits, one of which is the Taco Bell. So that will be coming.
When, do you know?
I don't.
Do we, somebody has asked how late
How late
Taco Bell is going to be open. Do we know their hours?
I don't
Open
even
late.
know their general contractor.
Okay. Okay.
They were still working on that when I issued their zoning permit, so that tells you kind of where they are.
So do we do have limits on the hours, don't we?
I've done that, we've issued a number of permits for additions to the homes. That's a lot of what's kind of going on in the village, is one or two maybe new houses, but a lot of additions. People are staying in their houses and wanting to upgrade. And I did attend the technical court, I have to look at it to make sure I got the right words right. The technical coordinating committee of the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization meeting. So we could vote on a few things, including the assignment for the improvement of the intersection at North Carolina 84 and Wesley Chapel Road and South Potter Road. So that was part of the recommendations. So that's still staying on the radar and staying in the on NCDOT's radar to do that project.
So is this the central roundabout replacement project that they pulled out from under us?
Yes. So it's still in the works, still on the list. Like I say, it was part of the local improvement points assignment. So it's still going.
Emily, can
It's
I,
a part of a regional impact, they get the
Can-
points.
can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
That's the good news. The bad news is, at the CARPO meeting last week, we found out that the STIP funding that's available for the 7.0 prioritizations, right now in our region, we are underfunded by $471 million. That's on the regional level. On the local level, Division 10 is underfunded by $108 million.
Jeez.
So all that to say, it looks good on paper.
It looks good
It
on
looks good
paper.
on paper, but don't anticipate anything moving forward
So
anytime soon.
the region is underfunded, 174 million. Anything about the state, statewide, how much it's underfunded?
Statewide, no, statewide has funding availability of $1,033,000,000. However, I don't know how much of that is earmarked for the I-77 South Toll Road expansion.
But we're still gonna get our roundabout at Potter.
We are. I asked about it today. It's currently anticipated to be constructed in the summer of 2025. Right-of-way acquisitions resumed back in January.
So that project's not being worked around the school schedule?
Summer.
It's anticipated to be constructed in summer of 2025. Mike, you know DOT. That's all the information we're going to get from DOT.
Okay.
So with all this underfunding, do you think that there's likelihood of them coming back to increase local matches?
I would guess, yes.
Take that 30% and make it 50.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ms. Harris?
No, that's it.
Okay. So,
One
yes,
question.
sir.
I was fortunate enough to sit in on a planning board meeting at the county, with the county this afternoon. And there was one thing that I saw that I really liked. And they've got, and we can do this because we already have the 2050 future land use map in place. Now, when someone comes to ask about, can I build commercial here? Can I build, anything in this parcel? Right now, we just have the piece of paper, right? It's taped together. I guess we have it online.
Well,
Yeah. But I'm just curious if that would benefit us to have, the county has a poster, a framed poster, a large poster of of their future land use plan.
I think it's a great
I do
idea.
too.
And if we used to have one, and I think it needs to be humongous, you
Yeah.
can actually see it.
Yeah.
Even if that means it
and,
rolls up for
wow,
storage.
like in here, in the office, where?
Just someplace that we can point at, yeah.
We've had one since, Bill Dustin had one, and we had a few, so we've got to file somewhere.
But even if we have one that can be rolled up to be stored and have some sort of stand or frame that can then collapse to where it's not a big storage problem, but we can pull it out and roll it in here for our meetings or whatever, but,
But if it were framed,
Piece of poster board, is it
Yeah.
still?
Yes, I thought Benchmark provided an updated one for Shirley's here, and I've been asking for one.
Yeah, yeah.
I have an updated map in my office, but that doesn't suffice here.
Yeah, I think Bon was gonna print one. I don't know how big it was going to be or where it got to.
yeah. And I think one,
Right, it's pretty big, I need one.
yeah.
It's like 3 foot by
But-
4
but
foot.
We need to be bigger than that, like 4 to 6 or something.
if it's
And
in a
it needs to be
light,
laminated so that
excuse me,
it won't get damaged.
yeah,
Sorry, Dan.
that's okay, I jumped on you. If we had a light frame around it, I think it'd be better than rolling it up, because rolling it up is gonna cause wrinkles and stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking about storage because we are always,
Well,
having
but
issues
if
with
it's,
storage.
but it's just a piece of paper, and what we could do is, we've got easels, we could just, before a meeting, pop it over there in the corner, and then it would be in the front office in case anybody else came
but
in during
I
the
think it
meeting.
needs to be large
Yeah.
enough that people who have trouble seeing can read the details and actually read the street names that are
Yeah.
on the map. I think that's very
It'd be
important.
nice to be really big, but I mean, that's,
And I think having that land use plan and even having the availability of current aerials, that when someone's talking about an area, that you have the land use plan, but we also have aerials for us to reference.
In that concept, how would council feel about something specialized that just goes on the back wall? I've seen it in other municipalities where you have just this great big map on the wall that everybody can see.
I like the pictures.
I
Not in here.
like- Yeah, I don't think we
It
need
can
to.
also be in this room.
I'd
But I
like to
mean,
see something that's mobile.
it's
that we can move
mobile. It
from
needs
the
to be
council
mobile.
Chambers into the conference room or into the office.
But I think I'd fall back to what Deb said, Mike, if we're moving it around, it's gonna take a beating, and it may get misplaced.
Well,
And the
I
and the
say-
planning board, it was a huge map that was framed on the wall.
Well, and their office space is a little different, but I say, Emily just heard all of this, and I'm sure she's been around and seen some different things and everything else, and she could come back to us maybe
Yeah,
With
with
some
some suggestions. Okay.
to make our, because we always come up with a long list of needs. But I think it's a great idea, David, thanks for sharing. Anything else?
I'm here to spend as much money as I can. Don't get that on the record.
Whoops, let me
Any questions for Emily before we move on?
Oh, there was a question, you said people would do home improvements, things like that. Did we resolve the issue with our new webpage where someone could go to our webpage and just type in the word like deck or something where they know what the permit process is, usually from the planning board?
We have the forms online, but we don't have the process.
No, when someone has to search the ordinances,
Right?
and they just type in the word deck, and they type in the word, everything we need permits for, pool, for example. We talked about that. Is it searchable?
You mean as Municode fixed
Yes,
it?
it is.
I mean, yes, Municode is searchable.
We are.
I don't know how to, like, if you're saying, like, if somebody wanted to build a swimming pool, could they, like, search on just the village's website and say swimming pool, and it would pull up everything that they need to know specifically about swimming pools?
Well, one of the key features of our new website was specifically so that it would be more user-friendly to the
Yeah.
residents. And permitting and ordinances were one of the things that we talked about making more accessible for the residents.
Yeah,
So,
if you type in swimming pool, the rules come up, but the permit does not, because that would be a separate system.
right, but I just want the residents to be able to know what they have to go through to get a pool or to add a deck.
They
or
will
to-
know what the ordinance says about it.
And it would tell you that
Yeah,
you
and
didn't.
if they search, if they go to the Municode and do that, but like,
Because when the new webpage first launched, that was not,
The other thing you have to think about is the word deck and pool even are very universal terms. Like a presentation is a deck, a pool could be like a funding pool. There's a lot of other things that might come up, so just be careful on some
Yeah,
terms like that,
it's-
of thinking it's gonna give you exactly what you're asking for.
It is working now, the searchable ordinances.
that
the
was my only question.
ordinances, yes.
Because I think 30 days or 60 days ago it was not, so
No.
as long as it got uploaded,
It's working now.
updated.
Okay,
Can I
yes, ma'am.
I think like the term decks, it's pulled from the ordinance. I think deck only appears 2 times in the ordinance.
Which is why, with Benchmark's lovely assistance this year, we are going to be cleaning all that up and making it a little more user-friendly. Excited. Okay. We typically try not to do closed sessions during a meeting, but I need to call a brief closed session very quickly, and then we will be moving on the agenda, which the next item is a quasi-judicial public hearing for the Union County Public Schools. But if council could please, if somebody could please call for a closed session very quickly, we would try to make it as quick as possible.
So motion.
Second.
And it would be from NCGS 143-318-11A3, attorney-client privilege to receive advice regarding the scheduled public hearing. So we will make this very quick and we will be right back.
Smoke will go.
Oh, all in favor?
She works out for you.
Just in case we don't kind of limit what they were.
Wait,
They just want to make sure that, there's something wrong with it. That's why, they're elected officials, they're not, this is not.
I like it.
Right.
You don't go there.
Don't go there.
No,
Don't try to go there.
I don't care. They're just discussing the process. And sure, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's a different
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Because I was asking, what's your confidence? He said, what's the confidence? Yeah. I said, what do you want me to do? He's like, well, just please make contact, but I don't want to do it.
So y'all, when you make, y'all do.
Yeah, and he runs, Dan's gonna be our witness, and where will he be?
What's,
Like, do I go to,
yeah,
the
go up to the like,
Okay.
and make the presentation. Because what'll happen is Janelle and I, we all. I think we'll have to. So.
Okay.
So. You will be seeing that. So,
John.
You did. Even though I'm not. You were the nicest one.
That's fine. We didn't have any time that week because last week we had.
Yeah, I guess.
Better probably say something.
Well, and that's why everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I know her so well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
No, that's fine, yeah. You know, every board
I guess
does different,
my
so
concern
I
is,
was, yeah.
Well, it's like.
Fine,
Yeah.
fine.
Exactly right, that's right.
And that's what they would report it to me.
It's important to look at that.
So, I don't know how.
They're used to it.
Yeah.
So do I call it? Yeah, they didn't glue. I forget.
Yeah.
I just want to get, couldn't what color is that?
Yeah, well, we didn't know my.
I've never done it.
We didn't know what the nature of the area was.
I'd rather go. I let her know. At some point last month, but I.
How sad is that?
I guess warranty, equipment warranty,
It takes the whole like, oh, no, I'll have something, you know, stop, or do this for you,
until we get.
Yeah.
and all, so it takes all that.
And do you know that this was a, we have like an attorney question and answer, is that? Okay.
Without sewer, we
I mean,
can't.
it's really more, I mean, it's not cross,
Right.
it's really more just a presentation.
Okay. All right.
I see water.
Yes.
It's like,
All right. So I may go more like a presentation.
running
piece
a
of
line
it.
towards the top part.
Yeah, I think that would, yeah,
You get
yeah, that would make more sense.
2 banks.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, this is what.
So rubber lines, public drinking
What the
water
rules
there,
are, this is what's.
and then big.
This is what the ordinance says,
Butt
it's
parts,
what's
and we're
here.
going more than butt parts, but it was like 50 grand, just to run the water line.
What, and I'm like, shoot, the applicant's here. The applicant's here, that's the
Still
question
need
for
sewer.
the.
Yeah.
So if we put it on that side of the line,
They're
sewer
from the
lines right there.
Not from the.
Sewer mains there, be cheap to get to the sewer.
Now
line.
people
The
may.
water line's too expensive. You got, there's a meter charge of like 3 grand, There's the meet itself, there's the, I walked out the line, once,
She's the one who.
Right.
there's like 50
She's the deputy clerk.
He's the public works guy.
He's on the planning board.
Green capture system?
And he is on the,
It's
So it's fine over here,
it was
it's down.
going back and forth with Mike.
I mean, for dogs, not for people, for dogs. Sorry.
I just
No, but I've
went,
had one
twice a week, I just
I've
went,
had one
I got some $5 jokes.
We noticed that the scout built, yeah, we'd actually.
where were we going?
I feel like this was Friday, Monday,
The neighborhood is trying to, have a high school.
and
Yeah.
always given the
Yeah,
When the
I
tracks
had
are
one lady
seasonal,
who's
I drive the trucks over to the hydrant,
emailed
go
me,
over the
and
wall,
wanted to know where they were going.
get home, spill the jokes in the track, they break it, and drive them down, and all this stuff.
No, I wouldn't do all.
Yeah.
And then I had somebody
But now,
else,
if they're gonna,
they actually wanted to know,
if
they were
park
paying for
maintenance improves
About-
all the budget,
Yeah.
like,
But I respond to
to
the
me,
email saying,
then
we got
it kind of makes sense to
survey
do it.
active on
What's left of it, where they was the
Okay.
communication.
verified
like,
property line, it's $5. And here's a DOT plan.
Oh, you're still good.
So, yeah, I should have had that for me.
because I was like, oh, that thing doesn't show me that's fine. I think I was all she was trying to know where it was.
But I think
They really have never
what
been
I'm saying, they just communications.
help with traffic in the lane full. So they picked it up.
Done until
Community outreach.
they got the light,
She
and,
was close, and she wanted to.
child light.
Yeah, no, that's how I like about the whole thing. When she was here, the plan was, very familiar with GIS, GIS, and
I'll just do all the,
it does look like part of it. Our driveway.
What I was going to say.
But yeah, but still, yeah.
Real good,
That's still beautiful.
but you have to put the disclaimer that says it's not.
You have, I don't have firsthand knowledge, it's not.
the lady, that's
Present
gone,
when I
she's super.
walk, I'm not gonna do all the rest of it.
She's like, I'll take the second one.
I'm not gonna do, I'll take too cumbersome for them.
You don't like it, right? See all
Uh,
the
it is,
brown, that's got
uh,
the what's the difference on this?
Yeah, it's going like that, that's the, everybody, whoever.
Lost one. That is a problem. Where'd she go? Okay, so I need a motion to come out of closed session.
Push that further down so I can hear
Motion to come out of
everybody.
closed session.
Amanda, so I can hear everybody.
Do I have a second?
Yeah,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Lori, seconded by David. All in favor? Unanimous? So that brings us to item 11A. 11A, a public hearing for Wesley Chapel Elementary School mobile classrooms. So this item requires council to conduct a quasi-judicial hearing, which means the body must find facts and base its decision upon the application of the ordinance standards and criteria and the competent, substantial, and material evidence presented during this hearing. So before we open the public hearing, if you are planning to speak during this public hearing, if you will come forward so we can swear you in. So if you are signed up to speak in public comment, you would need to come be sworn in.
Come over this way, we're gonna do it all at once. If you can give me your names first.
I'm Michelle Morris, I'm the attorney for Union County Board of Education.
And I'm Laura, I'm Sylvia Morrison.
Just Morris.
Two dollars, Michelle.
One.
I'm Danny McManus.
You don't-
Awesome. All right, it's going to be real simple, just over here, you put your hand here, put your right hand in the air. Put your right hand in the air. And just, be sure to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Okay. Thank you all. And so after that, we just need any members of council to disclose if they have any conflicts. As an employee of Union County Public Schools and a teacher at Wesley Chapel Elementary School, I would like to be recused.
Make a motion to recuse the mayor from the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
All right, so that means Mayor Pro Tem is now in charge, and I'm going to go be a participant.
So I would like to open the public hearing. Oh, we don't have a number. Okay.
Just tell public hearing.
The public hearing for tonight's meeting. So, and first we would like to go with our planning director's report.
The Village of Wesley Chapel's ordinance allows by right the supplemental standards of the 6 total mobile classrooms. And any additional mobile classrooms require special use permit approval. Union County Public Schools is requesting a special use permit to add 2 additional mobile classrooms and a mobile restroom. There are presently 6 mobile classrooms at Wesley Chapel Elementary School. The supplemental standards for mobile classrooms are A, mobile classrooms shall be located in rear yards if possible. If rear yard cannot accommodate the mobile classrooms, then they can be placed in the side yard. Mobile classrooms can be placed in the front yard only if mobile classrooms cannot be accommodated in the rear or side yards. Mobile classroom underpinning and crawl spaces shall be screened. Landscaping/planting shall be provided between the mobile classrooms and any adjacent road from which the mobile classrooms are visible. All required public notices have been done. This includes letters sent to adjacent property owners, 2 notices in the local paper, and a sign placed on the property. During their May 2024 meeting, the planning board voted unanimously to recommend to council the approval of Union County Public Schools special use permit request for the additional 2 mobile classroom units and restroom at Wesley Chapel Elementary School. And you have, you were submitted in your packet a copy of the site plan, which also is on the screen for anyone in attendance to be able to see. The proposed units are labeled as A and B, and then you also see where it says toilet is the proposed toilet behind A and B on the property.
Where are you pointing exactly? To the right or left of the room?
This is A, B, and the toilet, and the ones that are labeled as T1 through 6 are the existing mobile classroom units, and the black is the outline of this.
And then there's a storage building.
I'm sorry.
It's a storage building or storage trailer between 6 and 2.
Oh, yes, that's the storage unit. I'm sorry. That's existing.
Just talking about that building.
Yes. We do have representatives from Union County Public Schools to be able to answer any additional questions the board may have and present evidence.
Okay.
Do you have any, do you have any more questions for me?
I do, if
Go ahead.
I may.
Yes.
So our statutes allow for 6 mobile classrooms, so there's actually 7 mobile units there. Is the storage, is it not?
That's not, no,
Oh,
it
that-
specifically says mobile classroom units.
Okay, all right. Gotcha.
Okay, so a follow-up to that is if the ordinance specifies mobile classrooms, then that means a toilet trailer is not considered a classroom.
Right, it was part of their application. on there at the same time.
Yeah, but just for clarity, it's truly
Yes,
just the
that's
approval of 2 additional mobile classrooms. Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Hines? Okay, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant, who is going to speak first.
I will. Good evening, members of council. I'm Michelle Morrison. I'm the general counsel for the Board of Education. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this evening. As you know, we're here pursuant to your Article 5 special uses of the ordinance to request a special use permit to add the 2 mobile units. And because of the number that'll be out there, we're going to need a restroom facility as well. And I have 2 members of staff here who can kind of walk you through the project, if that would be helpful. The need is based on the capacity at the school. And I do have an exhibit here for you, Exhibit 1, which has a 10-year forecast by all of our elementary schools, but we've highlighted Wesley Chapel for you. If I can approach.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Mr. McManus, can I have you walk through this with the council members?
Sure. First, I'll do my best. Good evening, council. Just like to say that I've used 23 and a half hours of my deodorant the last 5 minutes, so I apologize.
This should not be that stressful.
So what you have here, if you'll kind of look down, it's by alphabetical order. You see Wesley Chapel Elementary. You'll see the capacity shows 575. Our utilization rate as of 23-24 is at 133.4%. And you'll see the different capacity numbers as they go through the different years. As you kind of go across, you'll see that the fall of 23-24, we're at 767. That's what we had the 20-day numbers, I do believe it was. Those could have varied a student or 2 or 3, depending on at the time of year. And as you keep looking across, you'll see the highest number that we receive is in 26-27. This is the current data that we have. This is all subject to change, but this is the best planning tool that we have to go with at this time, is at 788. And so, in looking at the need and projecting the upcoming needs, we wanted to be proactive and go ahead and get the approval for 2 additional mobile units if needed for Wesley Chapel Elementary. Happy to answer any questions you may have on that. Yes, sir.
First question I have is this, I've been around here for a while, is this considered a bubble in the system with the elementary school, or is this going to be a permanent addition?
So I would answer that with it is more of a bubble, as you see that we maxed out and it starts to decline throughout 2033 is what we're showing. And I wish the planning and construction director was here tonight. She's actually on holiday in Ireland, but she's much more well versed, but I'm going to try my best.
Right. With this bubble, if we approve more classrooms at the elementary school level, or those kids then graduate to middle school and then high school, are we moving the trailers with the kids, or is it going to be, we're dealing with Wesley Chapel Elementary only?
We're dealing right here with these 2 mobile classrooms. We're dealing with Wesley Chapel Elementary only. Currently, we have no additional plans right now for any additional mobile units at any other location.
Okay. So this shows the elementary school. Do we have capacity numbers on middle school and high school?
We do. Do you have that?
You don't have to show me the numbers, just tell me if there is capacity.
So there is capacity throughout Union County Public Schools. As we have,
My only focus would be people that go, the children that go to Wesley Chapel Elementary School end up going to Cuthbertson Middle.
Correct.
And Cuthbertson High.
Okay.
Those 2 schools, do they have capacity?
Cuthbertson Middle, corresponding numbers, 23, 24 utilization. As I noted, Wesley Chapel is 133, Cuthbertson Middle is at 102. And Cuthbertson High School is, 102 even, and then Cuthbertson High School is 105.6. It's a little easier to accommodate in the middle and high school with the block scheduling and everything versus the elementary
kind of layout.
So this is a kind of a permanent Band-Aid on the problem, or is it just going to continue to get worse?
I don't think it's going to continue to get worse. That only thing we have to go on is our data, and our data shows that at Wesley Chapel Elementary, it will max out in 26, 27, and then decline from there out, as far as we have our data, which is 23, 24 school year.
As from the experience I had from sitting up here, Wesley Chapel is growing, all of Union County is growing. At one point, I think we were one of the highest growing counties, as you I'm sure know, in the country. Everybody always talked to me about the bubble, but I never see the bubble popping and going back down. How do your numbers show a decrease in the years to come, when all we seem to be doing on a regular basis is approving new subdivisions, more people moving in, and I assume with children, minus the senior housing projects we're approving. It just seems like it's constantly getting bigger and bigger, and you're saying this is a temporary fix?
Correct. Our data that we have is what it shows, and we're only as good as our data, and we have to rely on that data. So we have employed qualified people, and we've also just recently employed a third-party entity to review this on an annual basis for us, so that we stay ahead of the game moving forward. So obviously these will be updated yearly. Some areas more than that, and so we will work on the data that we have, work towards the data, and adjust as needed once those additional reports come out.
And do the middle and high schools have trailers, external trailers, or additional trailers? Or is everything contained inside the school?
John, Cuthbertson or Wayne?
Where these children will be going in from Wesley Chapel Elementary, so Cuthbertson Middle and Cuthbertson High.
And Weddington Middle and Weddington.
Yeah, they're a split feeder.
Yeah.
Your area goes to Cuthbertson, my area goes to Weddington.
Yeah, Wesley Chapel Elementary is a
So
split
we have a
feeder.
lot of different school districts. Everybody thinks it's just one line that goes around Wesley Chapel, but you have the fire district lines, the school district lines, the voting lines, the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And our data does show, obviously this part of the county is our highest utilization rates of any part of the county. And so the issue and why we need the capacity at the elementary school is at middle and high, we don't have these class size law limitations, which we have at elementary school. We can only have so many students in a classroom in elementary school. And so in order to accommodate those, we need these extra mobiles to accommodate the additional students that we're going to have. And the benefit obviously is we can have smaller student teacher ratios, which obviously at the elementary level improves student outcomes.
Actually, we saw a plateau with Wesley Chapel this year. The principal had thought we were climbing higher than we were, and then we actually hit a plateau where it wasn't as many come in. So it's almost a shell game. We've been trying to figure out how you get the kids. As Danny said, in UCPS, we've got seats. We just don't have them in the right locations.
And speaking of that, if I look at the surrounding area elementary schools, realize, Wesley Chapel Elementary is a very sought after school. And my daughter went there, terrific school. But if I look at your list and what's highlighted, I know that Newtown Elementary, for example, there are residents within Wesley Chapel goes there. That is not at capacity. Antioch is over capacity. There were people from this area that originally went to that school. If I look at Shiloh Primary and Elementary as a combined unit, or Shiloh Elementary as a single unit, it's not at capacity. So it just raises the question of, if there is capacity in existing elementary schools, why add trailers to one school?
Well, I think, Dan, if you don't mind, I'll jump in on that one. I think this process, we're not actively right now planning to put a trailer or mobile units there. We want to have that flexibility if we need it. And as Danny mentioned, we do have a third-party entity that's come in, that's evaluating our capacities and where we are with enrollments to see if there's something else that needs to be done, to see if we can make whatever changes we need to make some of those things. But that's a future process that we don't know. So we're going to continue to evaluate subdivisions and how those reassignments may look. So that's, I mean, to answer your question, we don't want to get into trying to do moving kids from one school to the other unless we have to. So we're doing this as a preventative in case we need to add some mobile units.
I think most people would prefer this over redistricting, which is a scary word.
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
I did not use that term.
See, I knew if I said it, I would take a backhand from this lady.
Exactly.
No, I'm talking about the stated capacity. So you just, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
That's Colin Moore.
Mr. Moore. You said that there's no intention to put these 2 mobile units in right now.
We're not applying for a building permit right now. We're not.
You're just looking to get the approval so that in the future, at some point in time, if you need to use the 2 mobile units, you already have this approval in place.
We have that.
Did I understand that correctly?
Because that's Danny, 5-6 month process.
Correct. Yes.
So we're trying to speed that up. If we decide at some point, we see the enrollment starting to go up, we can make the process.
So
happen.
you'd be waiting on the 20-day enrollment in October before you might think about needing
We're
mobile
evaluating
units?
numbers. I mean, we're in discussion with the school every week, every day.
Oh, I know everyone is across the state. My daughter's a first grade teacher. I'm very well aware of those numbers and how they vary. So there's no immediate installation of mobiles before the school year.
No, ma'am.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. No, that's helpful. Thank you.
I assume all of these trailers are equipped with the same stuff that, I think it was 12 years ago, I was in one of them. So the kids still have the same access to the PA system, the alarm system, the fire alarms, all the safety stuff. So if your kid's in a trailer, they're not more or less safe than the rest of the school.
No, absolutely not. We have an emergency manual that the district puts together annually, and the goal is if it's a weather emergency, if there's, God forbid, a person emergency, we bring them into the main building for safety and security. And the teachers are all trained on doing that expeditiously.
Yeah, even 20 years ago. Go sit in the hall.
Yes, and they all have the same access as every other classroom would have.
So they are accessible for all students.
Yes, absolutely. They have ramps and those things for entrance. I did want to make sure to cover, they will have the skirting around them. They will, as you can see from the map, they will be placed in the rear of the building. We're in the proximity of the other mobile units. And it will meet those standards from the village, the city, the county, the state. North Carolina Department of Public Instruction has to review all the process before we actually put them in. And I know that the ordinance also requires landscaping and those things, and should we put those in, the skirting and landscaping will all be taken care of as well.
Yeah, just like we did the other ones that are fully approved there, 5 and 6, or yes, 5 and 6 were the biggest ones.
So, not going to hold you to a specific number, but how many years do you think these temporary buildings are going to be there?
That's a great question. I wish I had a magic ball and say 4 years, 5 years, 7 years.
What does your data say?
The data? Well, I would say the data says one thing and actuality says another, because we currently have elementary schools, and we currently have schools out there that have mobile units at them that are currently empty. But it costs us taxpayers money to move them, and so we leave them in place until we need them in another location. So wherever you see a mobile classroom doesn't necessarily mean there's a classroom there. So
May or may not be.
Right.
correct.
All right.
And what's the maximum number of mobiles that have ever been at Wesley Chapel? Do you know?
Well, at the beginning of this meeting, I realized how old I am, and those in Wesley Chapel was only 25, and I've been in Union County Public Schools, let's just say longer than that.
So you know the answer.
So we had the upwards of 20-something mobile units. I know we had 2 restroom units at a time, at one time out there. We pushed all the mobile units out to, I forgot the name of the road that comes around, Chamlin. So close that we were required to put up barricades there at the corner in case anyone came through. So I think it was 28, 29 mobile classrooms.
I thought I heard this morning, 33.
33? Probably, okay, 33.
Look like a trailer park.
Yes, it did, and that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And that was
So-
solved when the school was expanded.
Mhm.
Correct, that was early 2000s, and then obviously we've built schools since then. I came in the late 90s, and we had 35 schools, and we now currently have 53.
Right.
I feel old too.
Sorry.
Okay. Ms. Morris, you'd like to go on with your presentation?
Absolutely, well, and I just wanted Danny to answer some questions about, I know that one of the factors to look at is the utilities and access.
Yeah, so we have more than adequate electric, water, and sewer. One of those reasons is there's sewer and water in place. The toilet unit is going in very close to where one was originally, let's call it. And so it's very minimal as far as hooking that up. And as you know, we had the capacity for 29 to 33 mobile classrooms before on all utilities. And so there's additional 2 more. It's not going to impact that whatsoever.
So you're actually hooking into the sewer system, not a septic system?
That is correct. It is county sewer in that location. And the reason for the mobile restroom is we have to have a restroom within 200 feet of classrooms. That's why the mobile classrooms that you see T1 through 6 have been placed where they were prior to placing A and B proposed, because that would require obviously addition to a mobile toilet restroom.
Now, are the mobiles A and B proposed larger than the existing ones?
No.
Drawing, I can't tell, I assume it's to scale, but I think.
And A and B are to scale. I can't necessarily say T1 through 6 are exactly to scale, but no, they're the exact same size, 24 by 36, if I'm not mistaken.
Another factor that I know you need to consider is traffic, which I know is kind of a 4-letter word right out at Weston Chapel in the mornings.
Yeah.
And Danny, do you expect that this will add additional traffic by adding these mobile units?
The answer to that is no, because the students are going to come anyway, according to our data. And so the student's going to be there, whether they're in those 2 mobile classrooms or they're inside the building in additional, or crammed into the existing classrooms.
And do you see that will the installation of these create any danger of public health, safety, welfare, noxious fumes, odors, glare, environmental hazards, anything like that?
No, ma'am. They're going to be installed the exact same way as the other 6. And of course, full review, I think Mr. Moore mentioned it earlier, DPI, and you did as well, Mr. Morris, DPI, Union County permitting, and as part of Union County permitting, we have to go through emergency services approval. We have preliminary approval, just kind of, we mentioned to the fire marshal, here's where we're anticipating putting these, you know, foresee anything. They kind of give you a yay or nay, it's nothing official until it goes through the whole process, but just so that we're not wasting anyone's time.
So I guess in sum, you know, we're here to request these and to be prepared for any contingencies with this increased enrollment that we see over the next 3 to 4 years. The students are going to come whether we have these mobile units or not, so hopefully they will not create any traffic issues, safety issues of those natures. We do have safety precautions that are in place for just the fact that the students would be in mobile units. They'll be installed in the same standards and expectations as our current mobile units and all the mobile units that we have on our other locations. And they will meet your code of ordinance as well as all the other agencies that we have to respond to. They're going to be within that existing footprint that we have, so they will not go beyond that back area. So they, you know, won't injure any of the neighborhood properties. You know, it'll all be contained within that facility. You know, no traffic issues, because obviously we, you know, the kids are coming whether we have the space for them outside or not. So we appreciate your time. If we've missed anything that you have questions about, I hope we've captured all of the points that you all have to consider, as well as what we need to provide to you. If not, we're here to respond to anything. And again, I thank you for taking the time to hear our request.
Of course, I do have one question. Stormwater is also a 4-letter word in Weston Chapel right now. Does it address any stormwater issues this may bring about?
No, we do not foresee any stormwater issues with this, but just the 2 24 by 36 and the small footprint is going in.
Gotcha.
I mean, is the area where these trailers will sitting already impermeable surface?
Some of it was because it was already, some of it's gravel, some of it was existing walkways. So yeah, some of them.
One last question, you talk about the capacity of 133.4%. Based on what? Based on the number of classrooms and the number of people that would normally be in each classroom?
Our buildings are built for a certain number, and that, the capacity that was put at that one was
575.
575. And that considers the number of classrooms, our class law requirements, how many we can put in the building.
So the next highest one will be Kensington at 130.7. Are you going to do the same process with them?
I think we have sufficient room inside of Kensington.
We do, if I'm not mistaken, we have.
I don't remember how many we do that significant number.
I just see a lot of them that are over 100%, which tells me we should be talking to our county commissioners about building more schools if need be.
And that's part of the county.
Adding on to Councilman Como's comments, I'm just curious, nothing more than curiosity, but there was a huge jump between the school year 2021, 2022 to 22 and 23, almost 15%. And that, I just ran a quick review. I don't think any other school had that much growth over that 1 year period. Prior to 21, 22, was there also that much growth, or do you have those metrics? Do you have that data?
I do not have that data with me.
Okay. Like I said, curiosity more than anything else.
And I can tell you there was probably 5 or 6 years back when we first started our school choice program where students could do, Wesley Chapel was under 85% capacity, and so we allowed families to select to come to Wesley Chapel, and then and they could only stay through the 5th grade year, and those students have all matriculated by now. But we then saw the huge growth, and they were not allowed to, they were no longer on the list of choice schools because we were filling them up with the Wesley Chapel residents and not necessary for.
I'm impressed you used the word matriculated in a sentence.
She's a lawyer.
Yes, so,
Exactly.
do you have any more questions?
Yeah.
Deb?
Do you feel like the addition of these 2 units will impact the value of adjoining properties at all?
No, I do not. With the school being there and 6 existing units, I do not.
And I noticed T4 and, it's gone. T4 and T3?
Kathy, would you put the map back up? The map?
They're the ones that are off the back of the building?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just curious as to why A didn't go, and this is, I'm like David, this is just being me. A didn't go to the left of T4 and B didn't go to the right of T3.
So see it there?
Just, because that seems like that would have been the logical place to put those trailers. I'm just curious as to why you...
We try to consolidate instead of keep pushing out and into the play area of the school for the students.
Okay.
We try to minimize that and consolidate and make that more compact in the kind of the U-shaped area, if you will, of the building. And we knew we were going to have to do a mobile toilet, so we were able to put those in there with the additional mobile toilet. Mobile toilets are not cheap, and we try and leave those to last resort.
Thank you.
And what does this do to your infrastructure as far as the capacity of the lunchroom, the capacity of the library, the gymnasium, things like that? I mean, I heard stories from when Sun Valley was so overcrowded, kids would have to start having lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then the last lunch would be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Is all that factored in?
It is factored in. And I do know that the Wesley Chapel, along with other schools, are utilizing meals in the classroom, as well as the cafeteria.
Yeah. That seems to be a problem across the state, that the basic infrastructure of schools is woefully inadequate to support the number of students that we're cramming into them. Editorial, any other questions? Do you have any other questions? Anything else you would like to add?
No, I think Ms. Morris has covered pretty well.
We appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you all very much.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time and coming and talk with us and for giving us the information we need and being prepared to help us make this decision.
Thank you.
So if there's no other comments or questions, then I will close the public hearing.
Motion to close? Is that what you need?
I guess.
You need a motion?
I don't know. Just do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what we need to do is we have 7 items for those in the audience. We call them the findings of fact worksheet that we use. And so we have 7 items that we go through that we need to evaluate every request in the quasi-judicial process against. And the information Ms. Morris and staff provided was to help us go through and answer these findings of facts. And so what we need to do now is to go through each one and determine if it is met or not. We can deliberate each one and ultimately have a motion on each finding of fact and then an overall motion afterwards for all of them, just to explain the process for everyone. So regarding the first finding of facts, which is the use will not materially endanger the public health, safety, or welfare if located where proposed and developed according to the submitted plan and not create dangerous traffic, conflict points, noxious odor, sound, glare, or environmental hazards.
I think we answered that one.
Yes.
The only word that I circled was traffic, and to their point, the students are there, so
Yeah.
I don't see that it's going to increase traffic.
Especially where they're located, I can't see it endangering any public health or safety or welfare issues.
Oh, one question I forgot to ask, I don't know if you go back and ask.
Public hearing's closed.
Do we know how many students this 133% represents, or,
Well, the raw numbers are on here.
so each classroom is going to have roughly 30 students?
Well, it depends. The state requires a certain ratio for lower grade levels than it does higher grade levels.
So it's probably a lot
So
more.
it's not a uniform ratio that you can apply and say if you have this many classrooms, you can accommodate this many students. It varies by, it is a very moving target.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other discussion about finding of facts number 1? Do I have a motion regarding this finding of fact?
Sure. I make a motion that we approve item number 1, that the use will not materially endanger the public health, safety, or welfare if located where proposed and developed according to the submitted plan and not create dangerous traffic conflict points, noxious odors, sounds, glare, or environmental hazards.
Do I have a second?
Second. Go ahead, Deb.
All in favor? It's unanimous. Finding of fact number 2, the use meets all required conditions and specifications, and these were those items that were that Ms. Hines listed for us regarding the placement, the skirting, and landscaping. Any discussion regarding the finding of facts number 2?
Make a motion to approve finding of fact number 2, that the use meets all required conditions and specifications.
All in favor? Unanimous. Finding of fact number 3, the use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property and will not hinder future development potential of adjacent properties by the introduction of incongruous land use or incompatible development scale or intensity. Any discussion on finding of fact number 3?
Yes, can we question our council and our planner at this point?
What question do you have?
About the public, about the planning board, the recommendation from the planning board. There, I don't know, but there was a resident of Price Mill adjoining property, I'm assuming an adjoining property owner.
Are they here this evening?
Mm-hmm.
If it was not presented this evening, then no, it's not something that you should
Consider.
take into consideration.
Okay, scratch.
That was before the planning board.
Okay.
This is before you.
I make a motion that they meet item 3. Item 3 has been met. The use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property and will not hinder future development potential of adjacent properties by the introduction of incongruous land use or incompatible development scale intensity.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Unanimous. Number 4, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and not disrupt the integrity of existing land use districts, and will be in general conformity with this chapter and the village's land development plan. Discussion? I think the comment I would make is that the placement of the units in that U area within the building makes these 2 new additional units less obtrusive than existing units.
Somewhat buffered, I agree. Yeah.
I make a motion that item number 4 has been met. The location and character of use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located, will not disrupt the integrity of existing land use districts, and will be in general conformity with this chapter and the village's land use development plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Number 5, availability of services including water, wastewater treatment, gas, stormwater as required by project. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve point number 5, but it does meet the availability of services including water, wastewater treatment, gas, stormwater as required by the project.
Do I have a second? Mike seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. Number 6, access to public streets and the adequacy of those streets to carry anticipated traffic and on-site circulation for both pedestrian and on-site and off-site vehicular traffic circulation patterns. Any discussion? Motion?
Make a motion that we approve item 6, of access to public streets and the adequacy of those streets to carry anticipated traffic and on-site circulation for both pedestrian and on-site and off-site vehicular traffic circulation patterns.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. And number 7, adequate safety and emergency services, police, fire, and EMS. Any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify one thing. If we approve this, the police, fire, and EMS still have that's still pending.
As part of the building permit process.
Okay, so we're not cutting out the police, fire, and EMS.
We're not circumventing them, is that
Right,
what you're getting at?
yes.
No. And to the point that was made during the presentation, the services are already there for the number of students that are currently there and anticipated.
And also it was mentioned
My
that
only-
teachers have been trained to deal with vacating the property in the event of emergency.
My only concern was the fire marshal has to still give his blessing.
Right. And if they doesn't, then they don't get any trailers regardless of what we say.
Exactly. Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
I make a motion that point number 7 is met, adequate safety and emergency services.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Deb. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. And now a motion for the overall approval. Since all 7 findings of fact were approved,
Make a motion that we approve the special use permit to have 2 additional mobile classrooms and a mobile restroom at Wesley Chapel Elementary School.
A second.
all in favor? It's unanimous. Was there anything else we needed to add to that statement? Okay.
Don't believe so.
Okay, so
There will be a written order that
There's-
is prepared that will come back at the next meeting for you to.
For official
sign
signing.
off on all of that.
yeah. So for all intents and purposes, it's approved. Thank you for your time and for coming and being so patient with us as we went through this process. And so with that, I
Great seeing you guys.
Thank you all.
turn the meeting back over to Mayor Fuller.
So that leads us to item number 12. I just want to say, if you have driven around some of our nuisance properties, you should see a lot of cleanup. Nothing is perfect, but Kathy did an excellent job finding a contractor who could go out there and do some cleanup. And surprisingly, we learned that if you overnight a letter, it makes it very impactful. And several properties cleaned them up on their own.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask if there was going to be, if there was any pushback from any of the residents who,
So Kathy, go ahead and share a little bit about what you
We
encountered.
have 10 properties that we cited as a nuisance and that the council ordered abatement for. The most notorious one was our 410 Cottonwood against the Gold Star. Seven of the properties, now, I only had one person that wasn't very happy, and his son took over the phone call and handled it, but between 1, 2, and 3 dumpster loads of trash went out independently on those properties without the town's intervention. 410, he was so happy, he called me out and said, "Are you going to come inspect?" And I had to think, I said, "Absolutely, I'm on the way." And I went over there, and the front yard is immaculate, and you can tell you, and I have pictures if you want to see it, just ride by and take a look. The front yard is beautiful. So he asked me if I wanted to look, behind the gate, and I said, "Sure." And they haven't gotten that, but they are, and I'm going to go back on Monday, and he's going to go with me, and we're going to take a look, and we have just really showed our appreciation for the amount of work that he did. And evidently, he used to have some kind of business where people just would dump scrap on his front lawn. So he stopped that business, and he's trying to get back to work, and he is so full of pride, and I just really have to brag on his son. His son, who was maybe 21 or 22, nice-looking young man, was doing everything he could do to help his dad bring his property into good condition. So, we're really very pleased with, the 7. The 8th one, there are people that we're going to take. It was kind of neat, but busy. It was on Red Cedar Lane, the family to the right that has the 2 garages and things on the front yard. So I'll be checking back with him on Monday, and he's going to go with me. We're just going to go. They were very nice people. We're just going to remind them, look, you need to move that to the back, just make it a little more presentable. The 9th property was one where he's actually trying to sell the house, so I held back a little, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. And then the 10th one is the one on the corner of Red Cedar Lane and Gold Mine. We took 5 large truckloads of trash off that property. He had a lawnmower that the wheels were just rusted shut. I mean, he had refrigerators. I saw an oven go by. He had made a little cubby back there when we started digging it out. It was a lot. So the wood is still out there. I went back and followed up. He was missing a couple things, and so I spoke to, he was missing the lawnmower. He was very upset that his lawnmower was gone, and I just said, "I saw that lawnmower," and it was not any good. And he backed down quickly, and he said he was missing a chainsaw. And I asked Richard about it, and he said there was one pieces and parts, but there's no way we would go back together and work. And so I do trust him, and Ray uses him. He was 20 years in the force doing hard, what do you call it, where people get killed, vicious crimes, that kind of thing. So he stood his ground, and he was very comforting to me. So, but anyway, we got all that cleaned out. They cleaned up, weeded around the cars and things. That's still an issue. But for the most part, all that trash is gone. He did ask that we leave the wood because the wood, he said he sells it to make it. So I told him that we would leave that. So my question to council, and it's actually not a motion, but please think about this, is Amy and I are starting to get phone calls. Can you please, the neighbors, the grass is 3 feet high, and we need, can you do something about that? And Amy's been looking around. Amy and I have worked really well together. Her is her new position as deputy clerk. She's helping me tremendously, but she's been riding around and looking at these properties as complaints have come in. So a couple things we need to do is, maybe, and we can be part of this and help, but we need to define what we would like to do. Where's our limit on cleanup? Is it just garbage and trash? Cars, our ordinance says that we need to have a place to store them and give them so many days, but we don't have a place to store them, so we've got these trash cars sitting around. And, I think people they're encouraged. A lot of people that cleaned up actually felt good about it. I had one guy thank me 3 times coming and going that we put a fire under him, that his wife was really happy, and that they were going to do more, just wait and see. And so some of these people, I think they were received really well. It was a little scary, people going out there. It was a little scary for anybody, frankly. But, when do you want us to cut the grass? Do you want to put liens on these people when they have one grass? It's just something that council needs to give, Amy and I some direction on, because we're getting these complaints and we do see some issues. There's a fine line between having your property not being an HOA and being able to put some of your stuff out there. But then, one car up on Jack's that you have good intentions turns into a year later, and then there's another car because you need parts, and then there's another car, you've got 3 cars on Jack's, and, when is enough enough? And so, maybe we suggest we bring you pictures and you just tell us what you want.
Questions. One, did our sheriff deputy have to be involved in any of these?
We had 2 sheriff's deputies on the very first day, and we only kept them because we committed to them, but we had asked for them for 3 days. We didn't know what we were going to encounter, and given everybody cleaned up, they just sat outside. And it was really kind of good because they went over to Cottonwood first, so people saw them sitting there, so they were really perked on what was happening and going on. And then they moved over to our road, and that Red Cedars where we were banged a couple of times.
And with the residents that cleaned up the properties themselves, did that save the village of Wesley Chapel any money?
Not with what we spent on the one property, because the plan was to hit as many properties as we could with the money that you gave us. But surprisingly, the ordinance said that we had to give them, somewhere around 10 days. So we were close to that. But we told them they got the letter Wednesday, we were starting Monday. But we intentionally didn't start for a couple of days to meet the requirements of our ordinance. But putting the fear in them, they jumped in and cleaned up pretty quickly. And I had a lot of long, easy conversations with people. And, it was kind of funny because how you talk to people matters. And one lady called and she said that she was pregnant and that her uncle lived in the cul-de-sac on the end of Cottonwood, and that her boyfriend, I guess, her husband, was cleaning up and doing trim work. And so she told me she was expecting a child and that she had another one and she wasn't bringing it in until it was kind of cleaned up. And I said, well, good. So then he called me, but he didn't know she called. So when he called me, he told me who he was and where he lived, and I said, wonderful. I hear you're expecting a baby. Congratulations. And then he was like, oh. He kind of didn't know where to go with it. And it was a Saturday. He was, thank you so much for answering the phone. And I talked to him for 40 minutes, and we went round and round. And he said, well, I don't mind cleaning up. It just bothers me that the government can come in. And I said, aren't you already cleaning it up? And don't you have something out front that you're putting trash in? And he said, well, yeah. And he goes, well, what about the porches? I'm working in the back. I said, that's fine. He goes, I got some stuff in the front. But on the left, I've got some trash on the front porch. Do I have to clean that up? And I said, well, you've got your dumpster on the front porch right there. Your kids are coming. Don't you want them to have a clean place? Well, I just don't want the government to tell me. I said, I understand. I do understand, but don't you want to just make it nice? And it's just a matter of putting... So we had that kind of conversation back and forth, and I talked to several people for a while and just really understood and talked to them, and it took some time, but a lot of people moved on their own and took care of it, and I think the whole street, everybody seems to be, in a better mood.
With the
Maybe not happy about it, but in a better mood.
with the conversations you had, did you make it known to the residents that this is not a clean it up one time and let it get dirty again? It's going to be, you now have to keep it that way?
I didn't really press that because it didn't seem necessary. It took years to build up all this trash on some of these properties, and that's why I'm coming back to council and saying, help me define your line. What do you want me to do? Because the resources that we have, we'll put a lien on the one guy's house to clean it up, but that, if we go out and we clean up a little bit here and remove cars there, and are we going to start this whole lien process, or does council, I don't know what you want or what you expect.
I think we need to be watching people's grass. We're not an HOA,
Right.
We're a village of council. So, I think if somebody's got some really, several cars on blocks and you get multiple complaints about it, take a picture and then ask about it. But, I don't see any, we're not gonna.
I think we're after the most egregious
Yeah.
examples, that when you look at a property and you can't tell if there's a house, a residential facility there, or it's truly a dump and junkyard, that when it gets like that, we should intervene.
Yeah.
And I also think to that point that 6 months or a year, perhaps we need to revisit these properties just to validate that they are still maintaining their properties correctly, and kind of to your point, be able to recognize them and thank them for that continued adherence,
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
and how much it's helping the community and stuff.
But to that point, thanking them is sort of a fine line and a good judgment call. Because it can be, like 410, he is so happy.
Right.
He is so
That
happy,
makes
he
me happy.
wanted that
I'm
recognition.
just
Me and
glad to do
Richard,
that. Yeah.
Richard went over there, and Richard said, I followed suit, I gave him a lot of compliments, and, but the guy on the end of the cul-de-sac, I'm not even going on his property, he was hot, he was mad.
Right. And I do believe there's discretion in that, but I'm just saying that we positive reinforcement.
But Kathy, to answer your question, getting some direction from council, I think we don't go out looking for problems, but when residents of Wesley Chapel approach us and say, enforce this ordinance that you have on the books, I don't think we have the luxury of saying, yeah, but that's not what we're going to deal with right now. It should be the same across the board.
Well, and I agree, and I guess when I bring up the grass, you've got a nice neighborhood and the grass is waist high, which is happening on Hampton Meadows right there. Amy, talk about what you see, the one man that's complaining about all the
Oh,
property.
Pilgrim Forest. There's two that we're looking at, and sometimes I've gone out there and said, I don't see an issue. But other times, it looks pretty bad. There's big rig that's sometimes parked in the driveway, sometimes parked in the grass.
But this is a neighborhood without an HOA.
Yes.
But aside from that one has like 3 junk cars that he's kind of working on randomly. He's got some trash where they did shoe up that they threw out in the front yard. They've got
Yes.
that, so the rig, we've taken care of that, but it's.
Well, it's baggage apparently. I mean, my feeling is if it's his job, if it's his career, I don't think we need to do anything to impede that unless, say, it's broken down or parked on the street or something like that. Junk cars, when the weeds are growing around them, they have no intention, they have not worked on it.
And we have to abide by the ordinance in terms of, just because there might be something we don't like, if it's not included in the ordinance,
That's right.
then
And
we
have
can
another
not
case we got
enforce it.
off for Hunter's Point, which we never, it's a quiet neighborhood. One of the neighbors, the backyard's lined up, that said his neighbor was junking, but you can't see from the front of the road, and I can't get good pictures, so neighbor's able to send some pictures, and I think the grass might be a little bit too high, but sometimes you're like, I've been through this times where, for instance, you're sick or something, whatever.
No.
But you have to, and then they said they have pallets lined up, and they don't like the pallets in the backyard. That's fine.
Does council oppose my drafting a letter not stating that council has deemed this property a nuisance and has ordered it abated, but something to the effect of, you have 30 days to remedy this situation, where council will consider ordering it abated, and we will come in and take care of this for you. If it's not cleaned up within 30 days, there will be a $500 fine, potential lien on the property, and council may allow us to do it. Something to that effect.
I would like to make a suggestion, because I think you handled this very well and didn't upset many, if any, of the residents. And if somebody makes a complaint, I would almost do like a courtesy letter to say, before this is an official complaint, we'd like you to give you the opportunity to fix this problem before it becomes an issue with council. And see if that doesn't curtail at least some of the complaints. I think overall people want to do the right thing, and they just need to be notified, hey, this is not an official abatement or an official, we're going to start tracking this, that, or the other. Just, we've had a complaint, can you address it before we start making it anything official?
I think that's a great suggestion, but I don't think people are going to respond to that. I think they ignore those letters.
Yeah, but I think it would be better. I've gotten letters from my HOA saying, and I get immediately furious. I mean, so I don't think people really want to get letters from anybody. saying, you know, you need to do this or else. But like Mike said, if you say, we've had a complaint, you know, I just want you to be aware, you know, please address these concerns.
And as far as the wording of that, it could be almost a, hey, just an FYI, there's been a complaint on your house, and see if you can make this go away so we don't have to take it to the next level.
I can do that. And
I
then,
like
you know,
that.
we can handle that. I just didn't know the temperament quite of that letter, so.
All right, Emily, what were you going to say?
Well, I was gonna say, I have worked in jurisdictions where we've had an official code enforcement department. I was not in it. Not thinking in the dark. But I will say that that's sort of what Mike's talking about. I've worked in places where, you know, sometimes certain code enforcement officers, they're like, oh, you know, we need a file, we need to send letters, we need to do that. People get riled up. But then I've had other code enforcement officers that have taken a much more personal way to do, where they've either gone to people's houses, called them on the phone. You know, it doesn't really give the best, like, tracking, because you don't have letters and stuff like that. But people seem to want to take pride in their own property. They're like, oh, no, I had to be busy and I forgot about it. And so, you know, there was like, oh, like it's almost like a light bulb kind of clicks on their head. Oh, yeah, I probably should really do something to mow my grass because it got up to 20 inches tall. But, you know, so I think that sort of, that more personal, like what Mike was talking about, where it's not like, oh, we're going to do this and this is what's going to happen in 10 days if you don't get it cleaned up. People want to see what you're.
Well, no, yeah, no, definitely not that.
Yeah.
Saying that this could become an issue, you know, we ask that you clean it up and that you do this, and this, and if you have questions, call me, and then, you know, I'm just really nice to people and.
I think we should send it certified,
Yeah,
because that makes an impact.
and pictures.
I also think we need to be careful with lawns because a monoculture of fescue is not healthy for the environment, period. Right? And so I would rather see much more naturalized areas. I know the HOAs around here are really resistant to that, but I don't want us penalizing somebody who's trying to go with a more natural, wildlife friendly native plant arrangement just because to somebody else it looks unkempt. But that's part of it. If you have a prairie garden or you have a wildflower garden, it's not going to look manicured like your bed of daffodils. It's just the nature of the type of plants and all. And so I'd hate to see us to be on the wrong side of that issue, frankly.
I also wanted to say thank you to Emily, because I think in the decade that I've been up here, this is the first time we've actually had any action on this, and I think that might have something to do with you and working with staff getting that done.
Well, Kathy found the person to clean it up, which I think was
Well,
a huge.
We've been talking about most of these properties for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So good
Yes,
job. All
thank
of
you.
guys, good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I just don't want us to become the police for issues, and if someone does complain, we investigate, and if it is not a code issue, then we don't have anything to enforce.
Well, we will pull together, send out a letter that is, you know, but does imply that there's a seriousness, there's a serious impact if they don't. If they don't start to clean it up and give them plenty of time to do it, this could go before council kind of window. So, and then also one thing that I do is I work very closely with our mayor so that because I think she's got a good pulse on what goes on. So when we get ready to pull or do something, if there's any kind of question, I run it by her. If it's clear, then we'll go ahead and send a letter. If it's not clear, we'll ask her her opinion. Or maybe she can ask you guys, and you guys can run by and just give us your feedback.
No, and we just don't need to go look for trouble. Let the trouble come to us.
There's
We
plenty of
have
that.
plenty of work to do without going and seeking it out, so.
And I guess I bring it up because we did affect these properties. We've gotten a couple of people now pointing out things that they want to see cleaned up from their neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, in that neighborhood, there's a lot of opportunity. But can we transition to another code enforcement?
Sure.
The tree company Do we have any updates on them?
We talked about it at staff meeting, and didn't Vaughn say we would have to go legally to,
I think anything else above what they told us. We would have to,
because they are
send
saying,
letters, they came back and said, oh, we moved all business to
Mineral Springs.
Mineral Springs.
So why are there work trucks parked there, and why is there a garage full of equipment? Because I was going down Wax Indian Trail Saturday, Sunday afternoon, and someone pulled onto that property, and the garage door was wide open, so I had to slow down way down for them to turn in, and I got a good look in there, and the two big trucks sitting out there that are clearly work trucks. So
And they still have a bad habit.
is the man that lives there and his wife both work for the company? Is that why they need two trucks?
I think they have more than what they need.
Oh, I do too.
But in addition, they have signs out front that advertise it as a business.
Right.
And that's one of the things that was supposed to stop a long time ago.
So we do need to ask our sign person to pull those. Please, Kathy.
And I do believe the trees that they planted as screening on the road a year or two ago have grown rapidly, and it's not going to be long, there's not going to be a view.
Is that in the right? Is that in the right of way you're talking about?
Yeah, the signs that advertise are,
If it is in the right of way, I thought you said something about bushes.
No, they planted arborvitaes or something, landscaping, buffer screening type plants along the road a year or two ago. And they're growing very quickly, and I'm just commenting that they will become a good screen.
Which will mean we can't see what's going on.
Exactly. Thank you.
any more code enforcement comments before we move forward? We have some roof damage, so Kathy has reached out to the NCLM, and somebody's looked at the roof at least once, and the NCLM sent, who is our insurance, sent a third party out to review it. So we will probably be presenting some information to you at the next meeting about getting the roof repaired.
Repaired or replaced?
Probably replaced if we can get it.
Yeah, depends on what the NCLM says.
Uh,
But it is
my-
a replacement from hail damage.
My recommendation is make sure you have the insurance agent and the roofer here at the same time.
They were.
Okay.
And even if they only cover part of the repair, I think it would behoove us to have an estimate for complete roofing replacement in case we wanted to pursue doing that at the same time, even if insurance only pays a portion of it.
Okay. Any more roof comments? WUMA update.
Oh, that's me.
Wake up, David.
Yep, we met June the 27th. Suzanne Weidra from Waxhaw. It was her first time there, and I think based upon the conversation, Waxhaw is going to be more involved in WUMA, which is a good thing. As far as the municipality reports, Marvin approved its annual budget with a tax increase to cover operational costs and a roundabout. Mineral Springs adopted their budget. Waxhaw, I was asleep until she said that the Jekyll and Hyde Tap House was opening on July the 12th. At that point, I perked up. But it did open on Friday. The town hall is scheduled for completion around August the 1st. And she said that the town was still working on the Parkway West project, trying to find funding for that. Weddington approved their updated land use plan, but noted that there was poor public participation. Yeah. He also said that the town, Weddington, is hiring 2 additional deputies, and that'll give them full 24-hour coverage of the sheriff's office.
Which the sheriff's deputy said they didn't need.
How many total deputies does that make, do you know?
That'll be 5 for them. Yeah. Kathy, they also said that they were currently installing AV equipment for their meetings, so Weddington may be a good source of information. As far as new business, we really didn't have any. We talked about upcoming meetings, and we asked that they invite the county manager back for an update on the county projects, as well as an update on the water and sewer issues. We're also looking at the Union County State Delegation for upcoming meetings to give us more information on what's going on the state side. That was about it.
And old business from WUMA, I forgot to report. A resident asked about landscaping around the Newtown roundabout. So I did reach out to Marvin about the landscaping around theirs, and they paid to have irrigation systems put in during the construction of their roundabouts. So that enables them to get a plan approved by DOT for their plannings and their maintenance. But it is a whole process that DOT would have to approve. And
Does it have to be done while it's being constructed, or can it be done after the fact?
I'm sure it's cheaper if you install irrigation during the...
But it's not, they don't say, well, once it's done, you can't add it later.
Right.
I will just say, when you go through Marvin, it looks very different than going through Wesley Chapel. So their aesthetic is very different from ours, and I just frankly
Actually,
don't see a
too.
really need to put in irrigation in roundabouts.
Yeah.
If you do one, everybody's going to expect them at all of them, and they can't even stay on the road of the roundabouts.
So the town does maintain them and put in irrigation.
The complaint was about it being overgrown and it being full of signs. So I know we're taking care of the signs, but we're relying on DOT to keep it trimmed. So I did offer I could get out there with a weed whacker if needed, but Amanda said no, it's DOT's responsibility.
We can get online and complain every time. Get 30 complaints, they'll come mow it.
Yeah, so you should put out a campaign sign, they show up to cut.
So, all right, council and mayor comments. We have one more closed session, so we are going to do our comments and then let everyone go. Who wants to go first? Deb?
Go ahead.
David?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Ask any one of 663 employees at Louder Steel and Louder Construction. They know one thing that we preach, and that is what gets measured gets done. But what gets measured and reported gets done quickly. I think continuously I'm asked about the traffic, I'm asked about the dam, and I'm asked about completion of the shopping center. And I will bring this up in form of a motion at next month's meeting, but I would like for us to have that on our agenda every month as a means to measure and update and report where we're at, so that we have public record of it's not stalling.
You don't need to make a motion, you just want to have dam.
Traffic, shopping center.
Okay.
Yeah,
That can be done, sir.
And Taco Bell.
absolutely.
We really do that for the most part, but it's not called out as
It is.
a status agenda item.
Nowhere is it on the
But it's
agenda.
it's their comments.
Understood.
Yeah, but I'm agreeing with you that we don't call it a status update.
Yes.
We can do that, sir.
Good idea.
Anybody next?
I don't have anything.
The only thing, I know we're getting quotes for painting both inside and outside town hall.
Yes.
So there's going to be guys here with big ladders, painting walls and stuff. Great. Could we add to the scope of work, maybe replacing some of the light bulbs that are out? There's like 20 light bulbs out here around town hall. And if we're going to have guys here with ladders, maybe we could pay them a few extra bucks to change some light bulbs.
Sure.
Especially in the conference room.
The conference room is dark.
It's dark in there.
There's like 5 bulbs out in there.
We have ladders, that might be a good job for Tristan. I don't know that
Tristan's here.
painters are going to be
It's a sign.
focused on light bulbs.
Just
There's a lot of light bulbs.
there's a lot of light bulbs and there's a lot of,
Tristan, because they're signed forward, it would be a
Okay.
good sign job for him.
yeah, that's fine. It's getting dark in some of these offices.
Okay,
It's a good suggestion.
all right. Very good. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Have a good evening.
John, I've got something for you.
And then, so if I can have somebody on council make a motion to go into closed session for
John.
NC.
Motion to go into closed session for attorney-client privilege NCGS 143-318.11A3.
Is there a second?
Yep, I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous?
Yes, it was with you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, I showed her.
Thank you. Oh, man, I did forget.
I will voluntarily put it in my
She
phone
said she
if you
was
want
very
to.
sorry.
I mean, it's not that hard. I've done it at my house, so it's not.
And you're tall.
Somebody got upset that I was doing it.
And you're tall and have long arms.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I need a ladder.
You're also young.
Yeah, exactly, so.
But it's what we talked about. It's number one.
Take it up with Kathy.
The problem with the algae growth, this goes back to 2013, before the park was even open. And this just shows what it looked like right
Yeah,
after
you're
a
right,
big
you're right.
fertilization of the farm upstream. It was like carpet, the old 60s shag carpet. Like people just threw big pieces of shag carpet out there. But that's when we discovered that the barley straw was the best way to deal with it.
You know, I mean, when I was out there, there was only a small radius that fountain took care of.
Yeah.
I mean, just really small. I'm like, is it supposed to be this way?
So I wanted to call a closed session because, you don't want to hear it, Emily? No, you can stay.
She's so disappointed. She was running as fast as she could.
Oh, okay.
She was so fast.
We'll make it quick. I wanted Keith to be here. He recently sent me an email that, oh yeah.